Top of the morning to you. Hey, I'm Michael, or as the grandkids call me, Roo. And what a mess I'm in this morning. I've just been on the road for a little bit, so just trying to find my desk again this morning. But I'm glad you are here. Thank you for being a part of the show today. And love having you on site, on set, on this messy desk. And Alex, I saw you. Good morning, man. Your desk was. Thanks for cleaning that up before you showed us that picture. I appreciate your creativity, brother. Hey, let me say hello to a couple of you. Thank you for jumping on board so early this morning. It's a Monday. I believe it's a Monday. It's a Monday morning, and thank you for having you here on Roodoodles, Roodoodles Live. This is the version that I put out on Monday, Tuesdays. I'm going to stick with those days for a little bit longer. I may flip-flop a day coming up if I have some travel. And gosh, got a great story for you today to tell you about travel. Carol and I took we call a pivot turn. We were heading over west from here, northwest from here, to Asheville, North Carolina, just to say hello and see some friends. And at the last minute, they had a change of plans. And, in social distancing, we were going to say, hey, and at the time we said, let's go somewhere where we've never been anyway. And actually, she pulled it out. She said, what about Abingdon, Virginia? Like, well, sure. And so I had been around there, but never been to Abingdon. I'd been in a couple places like Grayson Highlands, which is, known as the Appalachian Trail crosses there. And there's wild ponies up there. And I'd been to Rugby, which I think has a population of 7 or 8 people. Rugby, big town. And then I'd also been to Mouth of Wilson, Virginia, and shot a video there years ago and met a guitar player there by the name of Wayne Henderson, and a famous world-renowned guitar maker. Lives in the mountains. He was carrying the mail at the time, so he was also the mailman. Great story. Anyway, won't go down there, but let me say hi, and I'll tell you about my trip, because what we did was we spent the day in some art galleries, and it was fantastic. So Carol Ann, thank you. Virginia, thank you for jumping on very early this morning to Tamberley. And Alex, hello to you again. Donna Bullman, welcome. Donna Barton, welcome. All you Donnas jump in there together. That must be, y'all just like, I'm ready to go. Judy, Fern, Joy, Annette, thank you. Catherine, Belinda, Beverly, Brenda, Renee, top of the morning to you. Karen, Terry Tardy. Happy Monday, Michael from Terry Tardy, Turquoise and Couscous. Patricia Brooks, thank you. Love the art. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. It's looking great. Chandlin, yes, maple pecan cup. Maple pecan? Is it pecan or pecan? It depends on where you are. And I don't want to start a southern, north of the Mesa-Dixon, south of the Mesa-Dixon line, east or west. But there's a restaurant in Abingdon that people say it's a 128 pecan. And I said, no, it's pecan. And so we went back and forth for a while, just for fun. I don't really care. Hello, Lee Packus from Florida, just the whole state. I love it when you do that. Debbie Jackson, welcome. Jane, Tippy Pinnock, glad you're here. Yvonne, saw a couple of posts by you. Burke Crone, trust I had a good weekend. Thank you, sir. You too. I'll tell you all about it. In fact, Jethro Bodine, good to have you here, man. Good morning, Michael Hahn, the Parrot Man from Florida. I could say you moved down there to be a parrot head, couldn't I? Yeah. Janice, thank you for being on here. And Irma, thank you so much for your hospitality, or your generosity. I should use that word, generosity, for some things you sent in the mail. Lori, Sandy, Carol, Jack Wolfenbarger. Hey, man, I had a card returned to me, so I'll recheck your mailing address and get it back. I saw it just pop up in my mail. After I came back, I had some mail on the doorstep and a few other places and hanging in trees and just thrown at my house. It slides down the window. Anyway, glad you guys are here. Lisa, thank you. Lisa and Lisa, they're together. Alice, good morning. Alice Jordan. Sherry, Linda, Caroline, Rena. Golly, thank you guys for hopping on this morning and being a part of this show. And thank you for sharing my show. People from all over the country are sending notes. And hey, Rue 857 is up and running. We had our first week of painting class, and those folks are posting their paintings all over the creation. And so I've sent them some homework this week, and it's called Get Light. Think lightly, touch lightly. ever so lightly because I saw some of your work. I'm going through there. It's amazing what you guys are doing. And I appreciate your boldness. But a lot of you are pulling out art paid. And some of you, hey, look, there's still room in October. And we're going to just kind of continue through. I'm not going to jump back up. And I'll always, look, people say, gosh, is it a beginner's class? I'm going like, well, I've been doing this 10 years and I'm still a beginner. So how does that sound? In fact, this is the only class. This is the first class I've ever done because people have come to my art desk before and sat with me for an hour or two, and we've piddled and I've shown them some things. And then I go to people's art desk and I look and see what they do. We learn from each other, and that's what this is all about. It's about encouraging. So the October class, yes, you can still sign up. I've had 5 or 6 emails, easy 5 or 6 already about that. Anyway, glad you're here. I'm working on something. Let me show you what's on the art desk, and I'll say hello to a few more. Connie, Fletcher, Jan, Judy, glad you're here. Michael Ashburn, love you, brother, way up there. And the desk is coming along great, man. I saw your art desk up there. You're going to build your studio. I'm so excited for you, brother. And call me because I can land a 47 or a 747 from 30,000 feet, okay, over the phone. All right, so glad you're here. Raylene, glad to see your name again. And Cara, golly, you guys are just piling on here. Blessings. All right. So, like I said, thanks for liking the show. Thanks for sharing the show. The cups are close. Some of the art bags are, they were drop shipped already. The company sent me a notice. They're at the printer. They're being printed with the Roo head on them and working on things. So that's all happening. Here's what's happening on the art desk this morning. Let me just show you this. Boom. There he is right there. Roo's there. That's my Pat. That was when I was doing the 100 days. And you know what's sad? Let me see if this is true. Yeah, that is pretty true, isn't it? Yeah, my hair's sort of pulled back today, but that's it. That's the mess that I wear. And you guys know I wear 2 pair of glasses, right? Just want you to know, for the people who are at home thinking, that poor man, he gets in a tizzy about doing this show and he doesn't realize that he has on 2 pair of glasses. Oh no, I just have on 1 pair of working glasses. These really don't have any lenses in them. See there? So they're just my headband for long hair artist guys like me. They actually had lenses and they fell out. And they were what prompted me to get these glasses because I like the frame so much. And so I'm holding on to them until I get the iBobs people to send me the ones. They sent me some and they were like putting an anvil on my head. I was like my head down. So I'm sending those back and having some more done. Anyway, got to have my reading glasses. I can see you way out there. I just can't see you close up. KK. Looks like Doc from Back to the Future. 2 million gigawatts. Yes, I love that. It's one of my favorite characters in a film. Hey, I started something on the desk this morning that I thought I'd just doodle as a warm-up here, and it's a pretty good-sized honeybee. I don't draw big old bees because bees are... and I'm drawing this one with a little bit of a flare pen. Look, so I'm just doing some doodling here. I think you can see that. And really loose doodling. Can you see how loose that is? And his wings are going to be coming out like this. Here, there's one comes about around, and they come in pretty tight on his back like this. This one's going out like so. He's flying. Probably should have taken maybe another pen, gone in here with those legs, and maybe come down here with a leg. So I like honeybees so much. My dad being a beekeeper, and I was always around honeybees. They have just a great, told my granddaughter last week a story about bumblebee or honeybees. Actually, I told her a story about bumblebees because she just said, I said, I'm going to tell you a story about a bumblebee. And she said, a honeybee? I said, no, a bumblebee. And she goes, well, that's different. And I said, well, I am different. And so that's kind of how this started. Let me just go to this shot here. And then in just a minute, I'm going to tell you a story about a video that I shot for some people up in Abington. I didn't shoot it for them. Actually, I went to an art, Carol and I, she just said, let's go to Abington. And we said, okay. So I said, find us a place to stay. So we stayed at the Martha Washington Inn, which is brand new. Brand new. It was built in 1832. And they still have the same horsehair sofa there in the lobby. I'm just kidding. It's a very cool place, actually. It's pretty awesome. So we asked everybody in town, where should we eat? Where should we eat? Where should we eat? And they all answered just like that. The tavern, the tavern, the tavern, the tavern. And the tavern was built in 1779. So I'm not saying this is a new town, okay? In fact, you know, St. Augustine bills itself as the oldest city in the United States. This one's going to come in there at a close second. But it's quaint, great little town, good hospitality. Shop owners all mask up, and we were too. We're so happy to see us, though. And so we did some work for the economy, I'll tell you that. And so we just said, let's go look at art. And so we took off and went down the street and looked at art. And it was fabulous. And we found this place called the Arts Depot. And as you would assume, hey, what I'm doing right now is in my warm-up here is I'm just spraying a little bit of, this is a very fine mist. I hate it when I do that because I'm thinking my computer's over there, my microphone's over there. Yeah. Anyway, I just sprayed up the little water because it just loosens up the paint. It loosens me up too, you know. I've got I didn't even clean my water out this morning. Look at it. It just looks like I painted something yesterday afternoon. Oh, I know what I painted. I painted that cardinal yesterday morning. That was kind of fun. Every now and then I paint pictures of birds, like this bird. Let's see. Is there a bird over there? I thought I had a little bird picture somewhere. I'll find it. Just give me a minute. No, that's not it. Oh, well. Maybe I moved it. It's a little bird, and he's standing there, and his note. Here it is. Here it is. Here's a little bird picture. Take a look at this little bird picture. See this? A little scene here. By the way, this is what I mean when I paint lightly. Look at this. This is a little sketch. I just touched this with a little green and a little yellow to show the house. It's theater. We're painting theater. We're storytellers. All right, that's what you are. We're just painting stories that people go, oh, that happens at my house. You know, the caption on the cardinal said, come on, I know you got sunflower seed. And so this guy's looking at this guy, and he's got a little bit of a wrinkled tail and a squirrely looking little eye. And he said, I just flew into the window. Hurts, but it reminds him to put out seed. And so there's a kitchen window in my house that I sit there in the mornings. I have a cup of tea and I read sometimes. And I see the birds come into the feeder, and they're always going like, hey, 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 could you come and see me a little bit? So I'll do stuff like that. This is an old painting, 2000 and not dated, which I broke my own rule. I didn't date it. I like to put dates on them so I know when I did it and if I'm improving or not. So anyway, I thought I'd do a little honeybee here as a warm-up. I like birds. I like honeybees. I like roosters. Now, you see that pin bleed already? Woo-hoo-hoo. Look at that. That's because I used a medium, or no, a fine point flare as I was doing that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab a little, I'm going to go with that ink in there. I'm just going to grab a little of that and let that black come in just a little right in there. Just a couple little, and put a little black on his behind there. Get it? Behind. I don't think of these jokes. They just happen. So there's it's a big old bee actually. Might go in here and get a little bit of orange or a little bit of, and then I might use a little bit of my gray up here just on the wings. Mostly just looking at that, just letting the ink bleed in a little bit. I like little warm-up paintings like this, and I like them because they're great gifts to give away to people. They're fun. I'm going to let this dry for a second, and I'm going to come back and show you something else with it. Okay? So I'm just going to move off of that. I don't do that very often. I usually just keep messing with wet on wet on wet, but I'm going to stop right here and come back in, and I am putting a little bit of this dark pen in here. We'll put an eye right there. I'm going to close that up a little bit. This is a big bee. All right, and I think he needs a little more color just as he starts to dry. So I'm going to take a little bit of orange, yellow, and just drop it right in here, right in there, like so. All right, need a little music. I can hear it this morning. I can hear it. I can hear the quietness. So I'm going to put that up there, and I'm going to start something else. Let me start some music. And Margaret Cole, glad you're on the show. Jennifer Parker, Skeeter Powell. I get it. Skeeter, you're always willing to go for a pun. I know you are. My friend from Greenville, South Carolina. And, whoops, time out a second here. Woo! A little acoustical instrumental guitar this morning. So let me just get off and roll. So I'm painting this bee, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to turn out a little more like this bee. See this little bee right here? So sometimes I'll let the paint dry a little bit, and I'll come in and I'll add a little color over that. So I paint honeybees flying in right, flying in left, flying away, flying at you. I haven't really done too many because bee eyes are hard to paint. So for me, does that mean I'm running from it? No. It means that my story kind of goes 2D anyway, 2B or not 2B. I saw where some of you painted this, and it was funny, funny, funny. The waterfowl or valve that I did, and I love that. Thank you for painting that. Anyway, so I did find a painting that I want to show you this morning, and then I'm going to tell you my story about Abington. So I'm going to tell you that in just about 5 minutes. But this was a drawing that I did a long time ago, and I started because I had a Rube Goldberg start of sketching little widgets. What I call a widget is some of you do Rube Goldberg. You do clocks and gears and motors and widgets and wobble shafts and things like that. I did those for a long time. I actually built those physically. So I thought I just needed an old rototiller, and it had happened and I thought, what if the chickens and the mom had come out and they were doing they were getting the maintenance done on the rototiller, and what would their story be? Well, the story would be real simple. It'd be let's get this thing running and go let's create a food truck and sell some grub sandwiches, BLGs, bacon, lettuce, and no, it'd be G, grub, lettuce, and tomato, GLTs, there you go. I should write that right here, GLTs, grub, lettuce, and tomato. That'd be great. So this is probably 117, just journal paper, but I'm going to show you that you can paint on just about anything. I painted on paper bags, I painted on newsprint, I paint on tablecloths at Italian restaurants. I don't know why there's another little bee I painted, see. I'm in my ADD Monday morning, can you tell? Or fast brain for those of you who follow the show. Victoria, glad to have you on this morning. Elsie, Ann, Wister, thank you for being here. Karen, Ryan, Ruth Ann. Shakespeare, yes. 2B or 5Bs, I should paint it. So here we go. So this is just a little scene. So I could paint the chickens first, or I could go in and just jump on a little bit of the motor. And so I'm thinking the motor here is, I don't even know if this paper will paint. I don't know what it is. I think it's an old journal page, but look, I'm getting a little bit out of there. So we're just doing a little painting here and see what happens. This looks like, that looks like the gas tank. So this is part of the engine cover here. So we're going to just use some more of that gray, just drop it in there a little bit. This doesn't have to have a whole lot of paint. Remember, if I teach you anything in this show, and certainly on Rue 857, stop overpainting things, okay? Just have fun with it and paint. So this paper seems like it has a little bit of a slick covering on it. I think what I might have ripped this off from is the inside of one of those notebook covers. Waste no paper, people. All right. Going to put a little bit of green on here too. Just want a touch of green. I'll tell you why in a second. Just going to let that start down in here, something like this. I'm just barely touching it. You can't even hardly see the colors coming in. And I'm going to close in just a little bit so you get just a little closer. Okay, there we go. That ought to help you just a little bit. All right. Okay. So I'm going to put a little paint on here, waiting on that bee to dry, and then I'm going to run you a little video in a minute and tell you about my trip in Abington, because I think if you can't just get up and go there right now, then you ought to go soon and just enjoy the little town. And here's the thing, if you can get out, and Carol and I said this a couple times, and she really pushes me to do this through the years, and push is a good word, encourages is a better word, to go see other people's art and mix it up with artists and talk to them and say, hey, wow, what did you do there? And so as soon as I walk in, I see a quilt. And it is a gorgeous green, deep, deep, deep green quilt. And I'm liking it already. I'm going like, that is just too cool. What's the story behind this quilt? And so the lady, very kind, asked me immediately, you want a quilt? And so I responded the way I would to any quilter. You got a number 9 needle and a thimble that'll fit this? Let's go. And so she actually came over and we found this microscopic needle that these women are quilting with. And community folks are coming in, they're quilting this quilt, and they're actually going to auction it off in October for a cause there that they have in the city, and maybe some artists. And so anyway, it's just fabulous. And so I really got excited being a part of that I did not quilt, but Carol bought a piece of art from a weaver, and she didn't buy a woven piece. However, this weaver's work was unbelievable. She built her own loom, and when she was a young girl, she built this loom. And I'm talking about an artist being bitten with the bug. She wanted to be a weaver from the get-go. When you build your own loom, and I looked at it and I said, okay, you didn't buy this. Where'd you get it? She said, I built that. I'm going like, wow. And I looked at the bolts, these big carriage bolts, and they were rust covered, and the ones in the zinc ones were not, and these were steel bolts. And I went, this is not a company. This is not a company built loom. She said, no, I built this loom. And I'm going like, oh my gosh, I love this thing. It's just fabulous. So you see what's happening here? I'm just putting a little bit of paint in here as I talk. And I'm also just painting with a little bit of water. And what the water is doing, it's loosening up the fibers in this paper. This paper's been packed away. I found this sketch that I did several years ago. And actually, I think I did this for Grit magazine back when I just started painting for Grit. And I did a different version for them. So yeah, this ink has seen its day as far as bleeding any. But if I loosen up the fibers with a little bit of water beforehand, then the pigments of the paint adhere in there. So I kind of like doing this. Anyway, more on Abington in just a second because I'm going to roll a video. In fact, I got a cup on my desk today from the people there. That's a big shot. Here, we'll hold it up like this. I think you can see that. I don't know if you can see it here without me turning it over. Abingdon, and it's their logo here. Love it. And I poured a little bit of tea in here. I'm not drinking out of this cup this morning. I'm drinking out of my other mug, but I'm going to paint out of this one. So I put a little bit of black tea in there. One clean bag and a little ounce of water gives me some good painting water. And I try to set it over here so I don't paint out of my painting water. All right, but I'm going to get some of that tea right now. I'm going to go in here. Whoops, put it right there. I just spilled it on the toolbox, which is fine. I'll put a little bit on there. That'll just create a little rust water on there. That's what I was going to do with this. Just going to create a little rust in the engine with this tea. Just a little brown rust from the days gone by, and get some of that down on the tines too. It'd be great for the dirt here underneath. All right. And I'm thinking at one time these wheels were probably had a little bit of blue in the spoke part there, in the hub. It'd be the hub. When you're drawing engines and things like this, you don't have to have a rototiller in front of you. I just drew this. And does everything work up? No, it's got a racing carburetor on it. See, the blower of a carb. It's got a big Holly sitting up there, because what racing rototiller, if you're going to go out and do it to dig grubs, wouldn't it need a bigger carburetor? It'd need something with a Holly and fuel injection. Yeah, I built a couple, not hot rods in my days, but I piddled with an old Jeep, and I built a dune buggy when I was a kid. I wasn't a kid, actually. I think I was a married man, and my wife had mercy on me when I went and bought this VW that the local shop class had sawed in half. They were going to make a dune buggy out of it for a shop class, and they cut it in the wrong place. They cut it right through all the transmission links, and I said, oh, I'll buy it for you from $75, and they said, okay, get the thing out of here. So we went and rebuilt it. It's kind of fun. So here is painting, a kind of a fun storytelling painting on a really cheap piece of paper. So for those of you who think, well, I can't get started because I can't afford the paper that I really want to paint with. I mean, it's like, and I'm going like, well, then just start painting on anything. Go paint on a paper bag and just enjoy the art. Sit and have a cup of tea and enjoy the art. And so that's what happens sometimes. So what I want to do here is, I think this is I have a toolbox in my shop right now that the year I got married, which was 1974, I went to Sears and bought myself a Craftsman toolbox, the big red toolbox, and I put all my motorcycle tools in there and all my car tools and everything my lawnmower tools, everything I doodled with. And there it was, and I still have that toolbox today. It's in my garage. And I'm telling you, man, I love that old toolbox. and it's now Craftsman. You know, Sears went away. Craftsman, the name was purchased by Lowe's, I think, and they're rebuilding Craftsman tools, and I love that. Um, so I put that green in there. You remember early on when I went and put the green? Okay, some of you go, "Oh yeah, you put a little green in there." Now here's what I put the green in for. Take a look. Now I put the green in lightly, and I'm going back and I'm putting a little bit of a. I wish I could tell you what that color is, but it's a little bit of a sienna, maybe a raw umber, maybe an umber. I think it's, and so I'm just touching it a little bit on top of that green, and I'm getting this natural looking rust color. When you've had your rototiller out in the back porch and you forgot to put the wash tub over it at the end of the day, right? And it rained on it, it was too hot. And so, look, I know the drills. I grew up in the country. I get it. So all of that comes into play when I'm painting this stuff, you know? And so maybe I needed a little darker here, but just have some really ugly mud on the tines there. And the one thing I don't have in this palette that I use every now and then is just some good, decent dark brown. And so I'll just have to mix them up with a little red and a little umber, just create my own kind of rusty brown and just put some mud on the tines like that. So I'm not going to do too much to this. I'd be messing it up if I did. And plus, I want to tell you a story, and I want to run you a little video about an artist that I met. Oh my gosh, what a sweet lady. And so I actually left the art depot. Carol purchased a print from an artist who had hand colored it. And she's part of this. Her name was Nancy Garretton. And she was the weaver who also started as a sketch. Pen and ink was just gorgeous. And so we bought a small pen and ink of an apple tree. And, you know, the apples in Abington and the whole apple orchard area is huge. And so, anyway, kind of a fun thing. And then we bought a cup from a potter. And I think her name was, I'll have to look that up, but I think her name is Reese. So sorry. I'm going to look that up and make sure. Sweet lady who has been doing pottery in that building forever. This was an old train building that was turned into an art thing, and the city kind of rescued it. And now they're doing shows for artists and encouraging local artists. And so, anyway, how can you not love that? Here's the story right here, and then I want to show you something really cool. Take a look at this, Abington, Virginia. It runs 3 or 4 minutes, but have some fun with it. Here it is. I put it together quickly. Okay, hey, I'm at the Arts Depot in Abington, Virginia, and I'm telling you, I have been greeted at the door by this young lady right here who's been doing folk art for quite a few years, and her name is none other than Nancy Johnson. Hey, Miss Johnson, how you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. And so you're the first artist that welcomed me today, so I just needed to stop and talk to you. Now, you're a real traditional folk artist.
Yeah.
How long you been doing this?
Well, it's been over 10 plus years. I was nurse for 17 years, and then I decided I wasn't ready to sit down, so I decided to teach myself how to paint, and I did.
Wow.
And I love folk art, and I have to deal with the public, and I like to do things that they can understand what things is about and when they was growing up. And it's actually childhood memories and history.
So you're painting historical stories here.
Right.
You're telling stories.
Yeah, I tell the story, and usually if I sell anything, I put the story behind it, and that means a whole lot to me. And I have done well since I've been here. And this is acrylic will create activities, and that's what really makes it stand out, is telling the story and using everything in the world that I can put my hands on.
Yeah, you were telling me earlier, and I'm going to show the painting.
Yeah.
You were telling me that on this ship that you painted over here, you actually went across the parking lot.
Yeah, I went up under the caboose in the yard and got the shavings that fell off the caboose, and that's what the ship is made out
So
of.
the old rusty pieces that the
Right.
weather had just the rusted metal
Right.
that came
It just fell
off.
down, and I've glued them on there, and the people on the inside, they are clothespins.
Oh wow!
And the slaves on top, I made them out of tongue blades. And the shackles that comes off of the clothespins, that's what I use. So the thing about it, that's special about that, I do have one similar to that one, which is in Missouri in the museum, and that's a plus for me.
Yeah, I'm showing one down here that looks like all these dresses of these women are all buttons,
They all buttons.
and they're pulling a plow. Is that right? They're pulling a plow.
And during the war, the men, when they went to work, the women had to do the work, so it's kind of hard to pull a plow. Actually, I do have one of my grandmother at home, and she was used as a horse,
Your grandmother was pulling the plow.
pulling the plow.
Is that
My
right?
auntie told me about that story, and of course she really didn't mind it because she had 14 kids. You got 14 kids, you do anything to try to feed them. And this lady right here, this is my grandmother, and her dress is made out of shells. And I just came up with the idea. Somebody gave me the shells, and I just took a hammer and cracked them up and made a dress out of them. And her
Oh my
hat
gosh,
was a
I love her
shell
face.
also.
I love her face and I love her Sunday hat.
Yeah.
What about that story?
Okay, this is a painting of my sister. She had made a birthday cake for one of the kids, and she put it out on the back porch to get cool. So when she checked on the the chicken rooster was standing in the middle of the cake and said, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, it's my birthday." So I don't know where we ate that cake or not. We probably did, but it was kind of funny though.
All right. So tell me that's not a great artist, huh? How fun is that? She said, I don't know if we ate that cake or not. We probably did. And so I had left the Art Depot, and then I had actually gone back, and Carol and I had gone, had a bite of lunch. And so and I'm sitting there, it's getting late in the day, and we were getting ready to go up at the Abingdon Winery and see that. And I said, you know what? I've got to go back and take my camera, and I've got to interview Miss Johnson. And Carol said, well, maybe you can do it tomorrow. And I said, what if she's not there? I got to go now. So I jumped in the car, and I ran back down to the depot, and I went in, and she was packing up all her stuff. And so she was packing up some pieces, and I had not seen the painting that she told the last story about until right then. Carol said she saw it. It was sitting on the floor. There was a few chickens in the one with her grandmother who had the shell hat, and I really did love the face. And if you can see, this 2D concept of folk art storytelling is just everything's just sort of stacked in there. Now she's changing some of that with a New York building that she was doing, and she'd done some overhead pieces. So she's really branching out. But did you catch it? She said the slaves in this ship are she called them tongue planks or tongue blades. Those are the big sticks that the doctor says, say ah. So she had used those and clothespins, and she'd taken the little spring off the clothespin people and used the bodies of the clothespin and used the little spring part as the shackle. And so she went into her family, and I love the thing where she said, my grandmother would pull the plow because she had 14 kids. You got to feed them somehow. And so her wit, her sense of humor, and her love for life were just perfect. So here's what I did. So you'll know, I said, you told me that story about a rooster, and you know I have to have that painting, right? And she said, well, and so I bought it, and here it is right here. So this is the story of the birthday cake. And so it's on a little 9x12 canvas board. And she said, look at their eyes. And so I'm going to lay it down here. I'm going to move this painting over, and I want you to see this. I want to tell you about it just for a second. Let me shift to the shot here, desk shot. And here it is right here. So take a look at these eyes. And so you're going, did she paint these? No, she's a folk artist. She's the lady who goes out under the caboose and pulls off. Well, she finds it on the track there, the little rusty pieces. It comes in, thinks that make a great color and rust. It's hard to paint rust. but it's not hard to find it in nature because God makes it every day with sun and water and dew. And so she pulled all that rust off and brought it in and glued it. Now here, I love this thing right here. It's what she said. She said, and me transporting this, I see that, Miss Johnson, if you're watching this morning, I'll put the eye back on here because I just have it right here on the desk. So she glued on, she said the little googly eyes, I glued them on because I wanted all the children's expressions to be like, to be like this, right? She wanted them to go. And so when they came out for the birthday, the rooster's up in the middle of the cake. So I now own this. I'm going to put it with some other art that you've sent me and some original art. Hey, I want you to have original art from people that live near you or somewhere. I want somebody to have one of your pieces of original art. Do you see the connection now? Are you getting what y'all are doing? You've become a community that share stories, that share art, that share pieces of each other. This clothespin, I have a cigar box that has clothespins in it. And I'll show it to you sometime. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make myself a note to do that. CP47s. That's what you call a clothespin in the film industry. Clothespin 47. Just because you want to mess people up and have a shop thing for everything. So anyway, there's Miss Johnson's painting right there, and here's a chicken over here, and these little kids in their dresses. It was one of them's birthday, and don't you just love it? So I purchased this from her and wanted to, boost the economy there, but also help Miss Nancy Johnson. And so, hey, you folks at the Arts Depot, bless you. Got your cup right here today. So thank you for a painting out of it. Thank you for the hospitality, and I'd love to come back sometime and stay at the Martha Washington Inn. And Martha was a looker when she was in her 20s. George, big old stout, handsome man, you know. And all right, let me pull back on this and let's paint a little more today. Thank you for humoring me as I go out and find some artists. And I love that when it comes together. It just makes a fun story. Sweet lady, man. And she was the first door on the left as we went in. Excuse me, on the right. And when we went in, she immediately said, "Hello. I'm Nancy Johnson, and I'm a folk artist." And I'm going like, "Yes, you are." So Carol and I love that. And Carol got to talk with, and we met a painter there by the name of Steve Reeves, and just a fine artist, fine art. And I mean, absolutely unbelievable. But everybody we saw there, the 7 or 8 artists that are residents there, then they also do a thing where members can come in and hang art. They have an open floor gallery that's juried. If you know what juried art is, that means a group of people who know art, and love the community and artists come together, and the board makes recommendations on who hangs what. It's a fabulous way to do art, though. Anyway, good story. Thank you for letting me humor you with a little quick shot video just on the fly. So that's as quick as it get. I edited that down last night just so you could see it here. Thanks, Randall Taylor Craven. Thank you for all letting me run segments like that. From time to time, I'm going to find some artists out there. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I was going to Asheville is to do just that. Have an artist friend there who's just brilliant. Okay, so I'm done with this. I don't want to do any more to this. I want it just very much like this. If I do folk art at all, it's going to look this way. It's going to be flat. It's going to be just these little storytelling things. I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to try to make all the red work. I'm not going to try to put any more detail in this. It's just this whole thing. If I did anything, I'd caption it. But right now it's GLT, which is grubs, lettuce, and tomato. And that's good enough for me. And so it's on a piece of wonky paper that I just ripped out. It probably had a ripped edge up here. I cut it. It's had a push pin through it here. It was hanging on my board. So here's why you don't throw your art away. Look, there's a fold in the end. You know what? This gives it life. Look at this. I love it. You see what's happening here? This piece of blue is still wet. See it rolling around down here? So I'm going to let it settle a little bit like this so that blue, all right, let me show you a trick. You see how this spot is bluer right here than anywhere else in this hen? All right, look, if I pick this up, you're going to see this liquid paint start to run. See it move around? It's actually rolling. You can see it there. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it to right there, and I'm going to set this down over here on the floor on top of my journal like this so that paint stays right there and dries there because I want that darker spot down near the bottom. There. You thought I was painting that and being so clever? No, I'm just paying attention to how I'm laying it down. Now what I got to do is lay it over here so I don't step on it. All right, let me go back to the bee. And here's the bee that I started this morning, and he's a big old honking bee, kind of fat, woolly a little bit. I like when bees start getting on their fall clothes, before they have to go in for the winter. They go in at a pretty cool temperature, like 57, 56 degrees. They come out on bright sunny days. I'm taking a little bit of just pumpkin orange, and I'm just putting a little bit on there. And I just like his I just like the roughness of this. And it's not because I paint that way. It's just the style that I've evolved into over just what I like. And so I paint what I like. In fact, I paint what I love. I love honeybees. Carol's cup that she bought from the Abington Depot had a bee on it. And so we've given away some of our bee cups to a daughter-in-law whose name is Melissa, which means honeybee. Did you know that? Uh-huh. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come in with a little bit of a fine pen and just put a little more detail in these wings, just ever so gently here. And it's okay that this pen bled out and made this little paper waft up there, the mushroom I call it. That's fine, because and it did it down here too. Just to me, it looks like the wings vibrating, and I kind of like that. I'll probably come in with a little bit of one of my fountain pens, or I could come in with a 7 or a 5. This is a 5 Pentel. This is a 7 Pentel. Look at this one. You probably haven't seen. I don't know if you've seen a white one before. There's the needle tip. Look, this one's so brand new. It still has the point on it. See, that looks like a little tennis ball on the end. By the way, Alex, I saw your painting, man. The shrimp pushing the walker, and the tennis balls were a hit. You made me laugh. I appreciate your sense of humor. That was funny. That was really funny. That's that extra little piece that some people would look at that painting 20 times and not ever see it. That's the part that made it a story for me. You go like, that's, and you didn't try to detail the whole painting out. It's like me doing that little rototiller, and there's a little wing nut up on top under that chicken. And I like that little wing nut on top of an air cleaner an air cleaner that looked like it was an air cleaner off of my Jeep outside, or a race car, and not a rototiller. And so I like little things like that as they're tuning it up, All right, so there's a little honeybee. Let's just put a little blue sky there a little bit. I think that bee has more than 2 legs. Oh, no. Sandy, are you thinking about animals? I don't paint animals with 4 legs. Okay, so shrimp is really not an animal. It's a crustacean, and that's why we're not supposed to eat them. They're bottom feeders. They're just really nasty, but man, do they taste great. All right, here's a little bit of blue. Show you what you can do is I splattered that pretty heavy. Now I'm just going to throw some water on those splatters. I don't know if you guys have seen me do that. Look, I'm just tossing a little bit of water there. Then I'm going to take my paper towel and just daub some of that out. Daub is a word, I think. In the South, it's a word. And then I'll take my spray and just spray that a little bit like that. And I got this big old messy bee, and I love the fact that he's just kind of messy. And here's something that I really like about this. Look, you see where this black is just bleeding into this kind of orange, his behind here. I love what's happening there. It's just, it just makes for the little hairs and the fibers. There's no really clear-cut lines in nature. Have you noticed that? You don't go out and you don't go, oh, you may see a horizon line, but even that, if you inspect it, it is broken by the undulations of heat and waves and then a mountainside. So you say, oh, there's no clear-cut lines. Very rarely, even in the rainbow that I photographed in Abington, I put out on my Facebook page, the lines tend to blur and fuzz together, but what makes it the contrast is suddenly out of all those pinks and grays and blues in the sky. There's this blue shot of green or yellow or orange. It's just fabulous. So anyway, so there's a little honeybee for you this morning. Okay. So, all right, let me do one more painting for you this morning, because I just want to just paint, and I wanted to come and tell the story. And Wow. Hey, I think I mentioned to you. Oh, I know what I got to do. I promised somebody I'd do this on the show, and I'm going to do it. So it's a selfless plug for me anyway, but I do that sometimes, and it frustrates a few. But it's what you do when you're in the art world. You have to, when you have as many pieces of paper stacked up and piled up as I do. Every now and then you get to give away some art, and you have to sell a piece of art. And so for me, I have stories, and that helps keep me in paint and helps keep me in tea and new brushes. And in fact, I even bought a new camera just recently. And so, because I want to keep doing this show and I want to do it with a pretty good piece of equipment. And so, now let me slide this out just a little bit like this. Let me get a little more bigger page right here. These are my notes over here for CP47. I got to remember to show you my clothespin collection. And what they are is they're clothespins from every film, every commercial, every modeling thing, every project that Carol and I have worked on. I've kept up with them by just writing, taking a Sharpie and writing that on the pen. When I worked on Hunt for Red October, when I worked on Mr. Destiny with Michael Caine and Jim Belushi, when I worked on all these different films, it's been always fun to just take a clothespin and do that. So here we go. So what I do in my book, if you buy a book from me, this is called Hey Roo, What's a Wheelbarrow? You can buy it on Amazon. If you buy it from me, I'll sign it like this. If you buy it from Amazon, it just comes with a blank front. If you buy it from me, of course, it's a few dollars more because I'm paying the shipping both ways. This is just my, look, let me show you something that's not different in my style. See this right here? It's a little green and it's a little of that maybe a touch of brown in here to create the rust. My wheelbarrow in the backyard that I modeled this after looks just like this one. Okay, it's a 1920s model. And so all of the style, and it's green, and so that's why the wheelbarrow became green. It's not a red wheel, it's a green wheelbarrow. And I like the fact that it's always got a little bit of rust and rainwater running down. But this is how many creative ways can you use a wheelbarrow? But it's a field trip about the farm. And it's called Hey Roo, which is what my grandkids call me. What's a wheelbarrow? Good. That's a good question. So here's how I sign the books. Some of you have seen me do this many times. I promised I'd do this one on the show for someone. So here it is right here. I just do a quick little roo like this. I just start it out and I stop right here. There's the rough out leg. And then I'll create a little piece like this. Here's why I don't tape my work down, so I can spin it around like this. Makes it easy for me. If you're a left-hander, spin it the other way. I'm drawing a paintbrush in here, like so. There's a paintbrush, and then I put roo right here, and I double roo just like this. I've been doing this for just a little bit of time now. And so I also sign it here. Michael, Roodoodles, and it's 9/14/20. And I'll sign it to this person. All right, so now I just grab a brush and a little bit of water, and I'll go in and I'll grab my ultramarine blue, and I'm just, look where I'm holding my brush, way back here, just kind of giving it a little bit of a sweep, creating some tail feathers in there. This is not watercolor paper. It's has a little bit of a vellum feel to it. It's kind of slick, and I love it sometimes when it just goes over onto the other page. Isn't that fun? You know, who wants to stay in the lines, for heaven's sakes? I don't. All right? Even the lions don't want to stay in the cage. All right. So I might just put a little of this red right in there like so. Going to go get myself a little bit. I'm washing my brush out in between each paint, trying to keep my paint palette as clean as possible. Put a little bit of yellow in here, come down. I like a little bit of this gray in the body, just sweep some through like this. Here's, and I also love a little bit of turquoise underneath the bottom end. And by the way, I always do this in turquoise just because, two reasons. One, it's my wife's favorite color, and she got me into this painting in the first place, so that's her little touch of it right there. Just grab a little bit of sap green mixed with olive green. So you can see on my, it's not really mixed, but well, it kind of is. I'll just put them both in the same pan and just let them run together. And then this is the one color that I mostly mix. I'll keep a little pen over here, pad over here, and I'll get some of this yellow. I'll put it in here, like so. I just mix up a little bit at a time, cleaning out my brush. Go get just a touch of red, and I mean a touch, because red goes way too far. In fact, that one little tip of the brush was too much, so I'll go back and get some more yellow. And then I might go get a little bit of this gray up here and just sort of puddle that in there. And that's the color I'm looking for the legs. I kind of like that more of a beigey yellow wash. That I don't like roosters' legs to be too orangey. I don't know why. It's just a personal style. It has nothing to do with how you paint your roosters, your shrimp, your flowers, chrysanthemums, or whatever else you paint. Don't paint chrysanthemums. No, you can paint chrysanthemums. Don't paint carnations. That's what you don't paint. Carnations are remind me of bad high school dances. And so, all right, so a little bit of this. And so that's how I paint the roos in the front of the book. There it is right there. So now that's painted. So anybody gets this, go, oh my gosh. And I'll do a little 2 here. In fact, I'm going to do another one of these after the show. So if somebody wants this one, you can find it on Roodoodles.com, or you can go to Roodoodles Etsy, and there's an Etsy shop there, and that's where it is. Now, what I'll do is I'll do a little detail here. Can you see me doing a little touch of detail on some toenails? A little spur coming down, some lines in there. And so that's what I do when I paint a book. I usually don't paint the paintbrush, just leave it like that. There you go. I did it. Throw it down here on the floor next to Miss Johnson's piece of artwork. Isn't that a great piece of artwork that I bought? I couldn't resist. I saw it when I went back, and there it is with the rooster on it. I'm going like, I want that. So she sold it to me, and I didn't even bicker on the price. She said it's this much, and I said, in fact, I'm going to give you this much. Thank you for being an artist. And so it was fun. So folks at the Arts Depot, thank you so much. I had an enjoyable stay with you, getting to know you, and we'll be back. We told a lot of people about you. In fact, I just told a lot of people about you. Really fun. All right. A bad high school dance? Yes. All right. All right, so here we go. Small rooster this morning on a, 6x9, probably, something like this. And I'll finish with this one and we'll go. Here's a little roo, no pencil sketch, just a little roo that's looking back over his shoulder. Here we go. We're just going to draw his beak like this. We're going to draw his comb like so. We'll draw his back down here. I like his big old feet sometimes, and I like this rooster's foot to be up like the other one. So I'm going to paint him with this up right here. I'm going to go in here and just get a little bit of his waddle, just that. And keeping with the light approach this morning, here, let's just do it right here out of the Abington Cup tea. Paint this rooster in tea. There we go. I'm just going to dip it in, start some tea right here. Wow, this is good. You can see this. You can see this tea go in as feathers. Sometimes when I paint with water, you don't get a feel for where I'm putting the water on the rooster. Look at that. That gives you a good idea of when I say leave some holidays. See that? Those little white spaces? That's pretty fun right there. Okay, that just happened. So in this case, anybody clocking me here? I just started 22 seconds ago. So here we go. I usually don't do the legs first, but because I've got a wet brush and I'm going to erase the clock here, I'm just going to drop some of this little bit of orange and yellow in there, just stack it in like this. I'm going to come in with a little washed out brush and get my red and just come in really quickly like so. So if you're every day, if you want to learn to paint better, I want to teach you something that I just learned, and I'm going to teach this to my art class, but you get the inside scoop on it here because, you know, those folks are practicing. If you're not practicing every day, then and you're enjoying the show, that's fine. And thank you for being a part of it. But if you really want to learn to paint, start practicing some every day. You know, if you had kids who were taking piano, you'd say, have you done your piano lesson? Have you done your violin lesson? Have you danced today? Have you practiced your craft today? You know, and so if you haven't, start doing that. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm just putting some blue inside that wet where the tea was. I kind of like that brown coming through. Isn't that a cool color? Sometimes we spend way too much time trying to do everything so perfect and make it look like a rooster. Have you ever had that problem? Or make it look like a dog, or make it look like something else. And you go, why don't you just put the paint in there and let it just turn into what it looks like? And I bet you'll have some fun with it. So I found out something really crazy, and I'll share it with you here in just a second. Um, and this came from me talking to someone about painting, and they said, "Well, do you do it every day?" And I go, "Well, actually, I do. I paint something every day. Either I paint it out of my little tin, wherever it is. I've got one here. I've got 3 or 4 in my little Altoid box. I'll carry this with me, which is what I painted out of when I was in Abington." And then that tea color, great. Thank you, Ruth Ann, for seeing that. And Chris, of course, I make it look easy because I've been doing this like Miss Johnson for about 10 years. And so, but if you just keep working at it, it will look easy. So I want to show you something that I just discovered. Sometimes I paint out of this. Sometimes I paint out of this palette. I do use all the same colors, though. These are all American Journey colors. If you use Daniel Smith, if you use, gosh, I don't care. Just name one. Van Gogh. It doesn't matter what paint you like and love. You gotta make sure it suits what you're trying to paint. If it's gouache, if you use acrylic, learn to use what it is you like, but learn to like those colors, or love those colors, I should say, and then paint a little bit every day. So I just discovered this yesterday. Here we go. Look at this. 857 equals 20. I had no idea. Shows you I'm not a math major. But look, if you add this up, it's 13 plus 7 is 20. If you add this up, it's 12 plus 8 is 20. If you add this up, 15 plus 5 equals 20, 20, 20, no matter how you look at it. So make your tea in 5 minutes. Go down, put the teapot on, get your tea, get everything fixed up the way you like it. Heat up your whatever you're eating. This is a raspberry filling thing. Carol just got a new recipe for some shortbread. That's going to be coming to you in a few days, maybe if not this week, next week. You're going to love it. I'm not saying anymore. So take 5 minutes, and then that leaves me 15 minutes to do a painting. I've been talking to you for 4 and not even painting my rooster. So if you stopped the clock and started the clock, you would realize that I'm in less than 5 minutes into this bird already. So I can paint the bird in the time we make the tea. Sometimes when I am talking, though, I'll realize that I just put my brush in the wrong color because I wanted this yellow to go there and come down, and I didn't want the red right there, but I wanted a little bit of red. And then I think I want some just opposing color that's really raucous right in here, just something that I wouldn't expect. Maybe that. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this different blue right here, a blue that I hardly ever use. It's cerulean. I don't care for it, but I'm putting it in there today because I felt like it. Now I'm going to take my pen. Watch this. Okay. Come in on this just a little bit. So did you see where I was headed with this 857? Hey, just find 20 minutes every day. Make a cup of tea, sit down for 20 minutes, and paint something. And every day, if you just, and maybe you paint the same thing over and over and over, and you'll go, well, I get tired of that. Yeah, but you're going to get good at that. Okay. So now I'm going to come in here with my pen. This is an 07. This pen is the same as, it's the same as the blue ones, 07 Pentel. It just comes in a white barrel. Sometimes I started like this. I started with the white 7s and the blue 5s so I could just reach and grab it really quick. And then they went to everything blue. And I went, what's the matter with you people? Now I have to turn it up and look at it. I don't have time for that. I only have 20 minutes. Get with the game. Listen to the artists out there. Listen to the people who use your pens. You know, what's that great story about International Harvester who literally went to farmers and said, hey, tell us about how our baler works and tell us about what we should do to make it easier on the farmer. And farmers back in the 40s started giving them ideas and said, you know, if I had a lever right here that I could pull and tighten this, and they went, that's a great idea. So I do that with pen companies sometimes. I go, you know what would turn this in from a 5 pen to a 9 pen if you just left it in the white container. So laying next to my 5, I can pick it up and go 7, 5, Then they changed the 5 to a black pen. This one. We're like, what are you doing? And then they changed the 7 to a black pen. I'm going like, come on, people. Did you just have a bad day at the plant? We'd only got black plastic in there. Let's just run them all in that color and change it with a little bitty number. Okay, so am I complaining? No. Yes, I am a little bit. But people need to know that their products make a difference, right? Okay, so we're going to call this the little tea splatteroo. Tell you what I'm going to do with this roux right here. I'm going to thank you, Arts Depot. Roodoodles.com, Michael 9/14/20. All right, I'm gonna send that to him. Little rooster looking back toward Abington. There it is, right there. So Abington, and I'll send that to him. I'll put that in the mail and send it to the Arts Depot guy. And I was thinking the year 20 was when Ruse Cruise started. I was thinking the year 20 for. Oh yeah, that's cool too. 2020, we started there, 857. 857 was born out of 2020. 20 is pretty cool, though, isn't it? 857. I was sitting there thinking, man, if I could get people to do 12 minutes, I thought, oh, there's 12 right there. And then I went, yeah, they probably need to go 20. And I go, ah. So I had a moment of discovery yesterday morning about 6 a.m. Having a little cup of tea at my table and doing a little reading. And I went, 857, it equals 20. So practice for 20 minutes. So 857 people in the class on Wednesday, start practicing for 20 minutes. If you just finished it in 5, then do something else with it. Okay, folks, that's about it. Here's the bee. I want to show him to you. Here he is right here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to line this off with a little black right here. And I'm going to take a white pen. Do I have a white pen? Well, I used to own one. Oh, is that one? I think this is it, right? Nope. Okay, I'll find it. I'm going to take a little bit of a white ink pen, literally white gel ink, and I'm just going to go in and touch a little spot right there for an eye, and then I'll come back in and do a little bit of just piddling with this guy, and I'll sign it right here, Roodoodles, and that'll be a fun little painting to sell today. And yes, he does have a couple more legs than 2, but he's an insect. See there, look at that, ha! Alex says his 7 is blue and 5 is white. See, I'm telling you, what's the matter with those people? You know, so I think I'm just going to write him a letter and say, look, I'm visiting with a lot of artists, and they would like for you to only do 7s in white and blues in 5. So, or we'll do it Alex's way. I'll take 5 blue. I'll get used to that. But don't do them all the same color, you silly people. Okay? They say, well, it's for office aesthetics. It's for art decor. And I'm going like, well, then listen to the artist. Hey, I'm not complaining. I'm just having fun with you on this day. All right, so saw a couple bees take place today. There's the one I did before the show came on. I like this little bee, but man, I like this big bee. He's close to 4x6. I used to have a measuring tape up here and measure things, but then what'd be the fun in that? Because this is what the framers have to deal with. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. I'll have a little something cooked up for you tonight, maybe that'll run a different time lapse. I love coming in and doing time lapse because I still love watching that paint hit the page fast too. A couple bees. Couple roosters and a book, and of course this painting right here. Somebody may want this painting, and I'll post it today. It's the one on the Wampus paper. If I had a cat, I'd name it Wampus, Catty Wampus. Wouldn't that be a great name for a pet? And Chip Cash told me the other day. My friend Chip Cash, he told me that if he had a dog, he would have a basset hound, and he would call it Peeve. And he would call this my pet peeve right there. I love it. Hey, this piece of paint is about to dry down here. So this thing's probably 6 by 8, twisted. If you take this to a framer, they're going to go, that artist has lost his cotton picking mind. And you're going to say, no, he found part of one. Have a blessed day. I don't know where my harmonica is. Here it is like this. It's always right there somewhere when I can grab it and finish this show. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you sharing my show. Information's coming up the next day or two about my mugs and coffee and the bug out bag. So I'm trying to get all that stuff done. And also, Pat and I are still working on a project that I think you're going to love in the future. I think you're going to really love it. It's got some great art in it. All right. So blessings to you. Here we go. I'm out of here. Have a blessed day.